The world is in peril. It's chaos everywhere. We're not covering any of it because we're too stupid. You're black, right?
Right.
Allegedly.
Robert Paul Champagne.
All it takes for rappers to join pickleball is for Michael Jordan to make some Jordans for pickleball.
Merry Christmas, you guys.
You sound like every gay in Manhattan.
I feel gay.
Try it out.
Are washcloths for the pores?
How much is it gonna hurt again?
What's going on?
Ever heard of the Pulitzer Prize? We sure haven't. Go to ymhstudios.com to get your tickets right now.
And but the piss comes through a different one.
There's a flap.
So it's almost like a train track thing. Where
Yes,
it's like
100%.
I got the morning stiffness, but I'm always ready to go.
He wants to go back and talk about prostate again.
Welcome to Dr. Drew After Dark. Please be advised that Dr. Drew After Dark may contain sexually oriented content and be unsuitable for young children.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Dr. After Dark. DrDrewAfterDark@gmail.com at 818-253-1693. And keep an ear and an eye out for when we announce that we are taking live calls. We do love taking live calls in this show. It's been it's another Christina edition. That was her idea, and I think it was a smart one. Today, my guest is Che Durena.
Nailed it.
Durena. Che Durena. It looks like Durena.
Yes.
Yeah, man. In New York now. The Tales from My Butthole is available.
Yes, if you want to listen to my first ever comedy album, Tales from My Butthole, you can find it on Spotify.
My Most Amazing Top 10.
Yes, I worked there for years. I was a host on a big YouTube channel over there in Canada, where I'm from.
And where do you want people to go now?
Oh, now you can go to CheDurena.com for everything, and also any platform. It's CheDurena, Che Durena on everything. I'm going to be at the Wilbur in Boston.
Oh, that's a big theater.
Yeah, on January 12th. That's my first theater gig ever.
Congratulations.
Already 50% sold out. And so if you guys are in Boston, come check it out.
It's a great theater.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's right by the Commons, yeah. So have you ever lived in New England? You ever been up there, spent any time?
I did a few shows in Rhode Island, in Providence, East Providence.
Yeah, that's in Rhode Island.
I absolutely loved it. And like anywhere that's kind of like blue collar, like working class, those are where I have my best shows of all time.
And you grew up in Canada?
Yeah.
British Columbia, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like Vancouver area, like maybe an hour outside of Vancouver suburbs. Yeah.
I think about Vancouver as sort of being all there is in that area, Victoria and Vancouver. Are there suburbs? There must be suburbs.
I mean, there's tons of suburbs and stuff, lots of farmland out there. It's beautiful. You can go up to the mountains.
It is so beautiful.
I
mean, Whistler and stuff is spectacular.
Yeah.
And then when you come back down into Vancouver, it's just like, oh my God, no wonder people live here.
Yeah. Honestly, the only downfall of Vancouver is
in Canada. That's part of the problem. It's part of the problem.
It is part of the problem, man. That free healthcare sucks, dude. But it rains nonstop over there. When the town I grew up in, it rained for 29 days consecutively once. Yeah.
Let me ask this. Why does Seattle, maybe it's just because it's in this country, we hear about it all the time, but that gets the reputation for all the rain. And I'm sure Vancouver is exactly the same.
Oh, same. Yeah. You're getting the exact same
And yet you don't
climate.
hear about that.
I think it's just because it's outside of your country. It's a whole other world over there.
How, any thoughts about how Canada is going these days?
I think Canada, it's doing really well overall, but there's a lot of stuff that needs to change. We have a lot of the same problems you guys are dealing with. Everything's just getting overpriced. It's so expensive to live there.
It's expensive, and it feels like it's even more, for lack of a better way of describing it, kind of politically correct. They're way into it.
I mean, it depends on where you are in the country. The middle of Canada really doesn't care at all. And then at the East Coast as well. I was out I love the East Coast.
So Newfoundland, Nova Scotia.
Yes, the East Coast. Most people listening to this will have no idea where East Coast Canada is. Think of just like an island of people that speak in this weird dialect that's like Irish English mixed. They things like dubais when they're talking about like a group of guys. They all are like nautical people because it's like a big fishing culture.
Yeah.
And they
military too there, right? Isn't it?
There's some military and stuff too. Yeah. And so it's all like fishermen who like do coke and party. It's like, think of pirates. It's a pirate town. I caught chlamydia there. Yeah, that's what's
Fantastic.
going on. Oh, it's amazing. But I was out there not that long ago, maybe like a year ago, and I was like, oh, it's like PC culture never existed here. That's what
is
it
that
felt
right?
like. Oh, yeah.
And then the oddest thing for me about Canada, and I can't, because I guess you have to live there to figure out how this works.
Yeah.
But the French Canadian part.
Oh, that, yeah.
And I know French. I know how they are.
Yeah.
And they're the same there as they are on the other side of the Atlantic in terms of their pride and their Frenchness and all this stuff. And how they deal with all the PC stuff, kind of, I find it interesting. Because they also are very attached to 1790.
Yes.
They like their liberté.
Yes.
So how does that work?
So the French Canadians are justified in their pride of themselves, because the French Canadians were treated like not even second class, like third class citizens forever
by the British,
by the
and
beaten,
then the Canadians,
attacked, like
they were the enemy for 1,000 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they basically had to fight through a huge amount of oppression and to keep their language and their province and keep themselves alive. So there's a crazy amount of camaraderie. And it's actually, I wish there was that with other Canadians, because a big problem with the like Canadian entertainment industry and Canadian anything, it's heightened in the entertainment industry because we consume so much American entertainment. But anything Canadian made that's like on the English side, unless it's the East Coast, unless it's Quebec, is like considered lame. It's not supported. It doesn't get the funding. Canadians don't watch it.
And yet comedy is big in Canada.
Oh, comedy's huge in Canada, but all our best comics went to America. Then you get the respect. The Québécois support the fuck out of their own stuff.
They're comedians.
Oh yeah, everything they do, everything Quebecois. Quebec has its like own ESPN. They have their own like TSN. Like they have their own news anchors.
Politicians too, which I find. And there's a lot of French spoken on Canadian TV, which always strikes me as. Like, not everyone speaks French in Canada.
But it's like if you're a Canadian politician or like a Canadian, like if you get to a certain level
you
in
Canada,
both. You have to be able to do both.
I see. And I've never really heard Trudeau speak French, but I'm imagining.
Oh, he does. Yeah. He'll say hello, bonjour. He always does that. Yeah. No, but Trudeau, because he's whatever he is.
And what is he? Do you? I don't know what to make of the guy.
So
because he looks like an idiot from here, but I always wonder: are we seeing?
I think he is an idiot. Like I think, like the thing about Trudeau that bothers me is like the huge level of hypocrisy and everything.
Well,
he does.
That's the part we see.
Yeah. So like he's doing things like he's like, I'm so PC, I'm so progressive, and all this stuff. But then he's
going to put the truckers in jail.
Yeah. Then he puts the truckers in jail, and then also like the Native American people hate him because he's given them no support. And you want to talk about one of the most oppressed groups in Canada, most oppressed
worse
group.
Than we were, really, in a lot of ways.
Horrible.
Yeah.
The way Native American people, in Canada, it's different. It's First
because you have all the way up into the Tlingit and all the northern Indians.
Absolutely.
That's not the right word.
First Nations.
First Nations.
Yes.
Yeah. So see how bad we are. A perfect example. I'm old. I'm trying.
But yeah, they're like, you heard about all the stuff with the residential schools and stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like horrible. And they still have so many problems in different communities on reservation that they need support from. And Trudeau has done almost nothing to help them. And he just continues to do nothing in the country. People are like, our biggest problem, I would say right now, is the cost of housing and the cost of living.
Which for sure.
Yeah.
And here too, to be fair, but it seems like there's not even any rhetoric about it up there. You don't even hear anybody discuss it.
Oh, we're
But I mean the politicians.
Oh, yeah, the politicians. There's a new guy who's like our conservative guy who's really harping on it because he knows that's the biggest talking point. And who knows? Will he actually do something if he gets elected? I think he will, because everyone hates Trudeau right now. And then we have like our other parties that have never had office. They've gotten close a couple times, but they probably won't.
Interesting.
But Trudeau,
like independent party sort of thing.
Well, they're not independent. We have the New Democrats and then the Green Party. The New Democrats got close a couple times. They're like our most liberal party, and then the Liberals are kind of our in between. And then we have our Conservatives, which is like our most right leaning.
Where
party.
do the French French fall in all this?
The French have their own where it's the Bloc Québécois. The Bloc Québécois is
so
like
crazy.
But I'm sure a bunch of Quebec votes for wherever.
And now you live in New York.
I live in New York
In
now.
the Lower
yeah.
East Side, way Lower East Side, by the new developed piers and stuff, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And how do you find New York?
I love New York.
And you were only
yeah.
there since COVID.
Yes, I got there August of 2022.
It's been odd since COVID. It was very weird during COVID.
Yeah.
And it took a while to come back. I mean, for instance, restaurants still close at 10 or 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah,
Bars
yeah.
are closed at 11. That's weird. It's New York City.
It's supposed to be open
Still do
forever.
that.
Yeah.
Still do that. And but I was there this week, and I noticed more people on the street, more people seeming happy on the street.
Yeah.
And something I've not seen in years, little troops of skinny, drunk white chicks.
Oh, you haven't seen that in years.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
I see that every day.
Well, that's a new thing.
Yeah?
It must have come up from the lower part of town because during COVID and even before that was just not around. It's just not like that.
Oh.
I haven't seen this in a while, and it caught my attention immediately. I'm like, oh,
Skinny hot white chicks will catch your attention.
But I'm thinking, oh, this is a good thing.
Yeah.
They feel safe.
Yes.
To be drunk and wasted on the street.
Yeah.
And there were no more than 3 or 4 of them at a time, right? And they're having a good time. It's good. This is a good sign.
You're talking about them almost like an animal report. Like
Yeah.
they're roaming in packs. These skinny white
I
college
spotted some
girls.
white leopards. They were spotted. They were rare. They were rare until this week. They seem to be reproducing.
Yeah, they're populating the area. The nature's healing, guys. The skinny white girls have returned.
But isn't it funny and weird that it caught my attention?
Yeah, well, because it is a sign of safety if skinny
Safety.
white girls are feel safe to walk around.
And I don't know if they were in hiding before. I feel they were young.
Yeah.
Like this is a new thing, it
Yeah.
seemed to me, because I don't see a similar counterpart at 28 to 32. I just don't see it.
No,
they've been serious and they're doing their work.
Yeah, and I think once you get older, you're going out less.
Yeah,
There's less temptation to go out.
People may argue with me about this, but this has not been around for a while.
I mean, like I said, I haven't got there till post-COVID.
Yeah.
But NYU is not far from where I live, and so the skinny whites have been when I was going to move into Alphabet City.
Yeah.
They were my broker, who was just kind of like a realtor when you're trying to find somewhere to rent.
Skinny whites.
The skinny whites, yeah. He told me, he was like, Alphabet City could be a little bit of a rougher area.
It was,
And
for sure.
I went to go look at the apartment, and I was like, oh, well, I'll walk around. And I saw white girls eating brunch. I'm like, this is the safest area you could be in. White girls eating brunch is a key indicator of safety, for sure.
I would argue the drunk white late at night is just one step above.
For sure.
The brunching.
100%.
So fun. Well, good. New York's coming back.
It's back.
Everybody. And they're having a good time. That's the part that that's one of the things that I've been disturbed about. Everything's been such a bummer for so long. How old are you now?
31.
Yes, for your age group. Everything's been a bummer for the last 10 years for the most part.
I am super fortunate, and it's insane because I went down the road of comedy. I started doing stand-up 11 years ago now, and then started making social content and all this stuff. And by all means, I should be the least financially stable person ever, but things are working out very well. If I had gone the different route of getting a serious job, I would be maybe in ruins right now.
Correct. And that's I'm talking to a young man just today who was saying something similar. He was an entrepreneur. He's like, and I'm doing okay, but it's a struggle still, which I'm sure it is. But how has the sweep been? Has it been fun? Has it been just rewarding, or has it been fun? There's been a death of fun. Yeah. I think in the last COVID put the final nail in that.
Yeah.
And the drunk white chicks to me are a sign of fun returning.
This is my theory on the fun returning.
Anybody? Yeah, go ahead.
Personally, I am having fun.
By the way, comedy is the sort of ground, is the fire for the fun, right?
Yeah.
It's where you feel good. You come out of a comedy show, and comedians have been kind of, I don't want to say silence, but they,
it's been muzzled a bit.
Until Dave Chappelle gets out there and starts talking, it's like, oh, okay, we can say these things now.
Well, I think that trends and status and everything and themes move in decades.
Yeah.
So you have like the 70s were like this, the 80s were like this.
Yeah, it's
we
true.
kind of just went through something that was like a mimic of the 70s.
Yes.
Where you have like a lot of sexual liberation, you have a lot of social justice movement, and what came directly after the 70s
80s.
was the 80s.
Yep.
And the 80s is like punk rock, we don't give a fuck.
It was fun.
We're
Yeah.
doing cocaine, we're dressing
You're
flashy.
right.
And I think, and you don't really feel the hold of the shift in culture until you get to the like 4, 5, 6 years.
Correct. In fact, if you look at pictures of people in 1982, it looks like 1976.
Exactly,
You don't
yeah.
realize how much was that. However, I can remember the moment that the 80s became fun. It's weird because the 70s were a bummer.
Yeah, you have Vietnam War.
I can remember the bottom for the 70s too. For me, the Vietnam War was certainly a bottom for a lot of people, but for me, I was living in New England, and there was a Boston Globe on my doorstep with a picture of the helicopter strewn across the desert. They were trying to save the Iranian hostages, and I'm like, oh my god, we can't do anything. We suck. It's over. Fuck this country. And then things moved on.
Yeah.
And I was at a house party in the fall of 1980. And it was sort of like a lot of people. And they were all drunk white chicks were involved at the time. There were a lot of them.
Yeah.
And Devo came on.
Yeah.
Whip It, I think it was.
Okay, yeah.
And people, 100% of the people started dancing and jumping around. I thought, this is totally different than 5 minutes ago.
Yes.
This is something has changed.
Yes.
And it went on from there. And it was not a straight line, mind you. I mean, the people, there's a lot of weird looking back on Reagan as such a wonderful, people did not like him.
No.
And there was a lot of worry about nuclear holocaust and all kinds of stuff that we worried about. Yet we still move towards fun.
We still move to. I think we're going into that era.
God bless you. You made me feel so much better to say that we're coming back.
I think so.
You deserve it.
Because
your generation deserves it. You guys have been. It's been bummer for you guys.
It's been a
for
bummer,
while.
man. Dude, like you can't, like so many people aren't having kids, can't afford to have kids, can't afford to buy a house, all this stuff. We just need a whole time of what's like, we don't care about what you say. We don't care about getting offended.
Yeah.
We just care
and
about.
the economy needs to support you.
Yes.
It needs to. We need to get rid of some. Humbly, we need to get rid of all these old people too. The fact that we're not handing off to you is like sort of disgusting to me.
The old's got to die. We got to do some legalization around like for-profit real estate. I think
interesting.
I think
something creative, unregulated. Let's bring something back. You guys can be creative.
Something needs to happen.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, well, good. I feel so much better now.
Right on.
I wonder if we could do a couple of medical videos. I've not done this in a couple of weeks, and these should be interesting. And then a couple of voicemails, and then we'll go to calls.
Love it.
So here we are. Let's see what we got here.
Come get a migraine with me. First things first, lights are absolutely off. This one started coming on at like 7 p.m., which means I'm out for the night and I gotta do that skincare before it gets too painful. I know I'm getting a migraine because I lose my vision about 20 minutes before the pain comes on.
It's a real
I get one about every 2 months, so love that for me. Next, we're gonna make the bed because the only way to escape the pain is sleep. As soon as my vision starts going, I take 2 extra strength Excedrin. Gotta take this GD ponytail out. Then I pop in an audiobook, so tell me all your favorite books from 2022. And if someone could diagnose me, that would be amazing. Thanks.
Well, she's already diagnosed herself. It's called a classical migraine. So migraines, when they really occur classically, they have some sort of neurological precursor, vision being the most classic, and you'll like lose half your vision.
Jesus Christ.
And it's thought to be related to the blood flow to those parts of the brain. It's there's all sorts of other neurochemical things going on. But there are so many migraine medications now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. You can sort of step to have this kind of migraine untreated seems bizarre to me.
Yeah, you shouldn't, like, she just kind of is taking it on the chin every time.
And aspirin and caffeine are helpful with classical migraines. That's why she takes the Excedrin.
Yeah.
But yeah, is she afraid of I mean, even they're just the triptans and things, these milder medicines. There's all kinds of stuff you can take. They're very safe and effective. How about that phrase? People love these days.
Safe and effective. People like it. They like it.
What do you say?
I mean, I would go your route of like finding some sort of treatment. Whenever I have like a medical issue or something that's like kind of bugging me, I'm like, I'll wait it out until I be like, okay, this isn't going away.
Every young male.
Yeah, it's
Every
like
young male. It's either going to kill me or go away.
Exactly, and so a lot of things just go away.
So you still have that chlamydia from
Oh,
Nova
no.
Scotia. No, that you took care of.
That
well, the
gets
penis brings guys in right away.
Exactly. This guy needs to be working hard.
I, by the way, want to do some. One of my new initiatives is to try to make medication for that kind of stuff more available for people.
Oh, really?
Why should you have to go to it? It's so easy to treat.
Do you think you could do a home test?
I don't think we necessarily. Yes, you can. And I'm not even sure you need to test 3/4 of the time because if you just take the azithromycin, it'll treat non-gonococcal. And if it keeps going, then you get on the gonococcal stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what we do anyway, even if we have a positive test.
Yeah.
So even if we have a negative test, we'd give you the same thing.
Yeah, they go
you're having symptoms. So
you go take this anyways. Yeah.
Yes.
If you have
and
discharge.
so I want to try to find a way to get that into the hands of young people.
I would love
to
that.
take this stuff.
Yeah.
Why do you have to go embarrassed and go in and be?
I have to say I've done it so many times now that I'm no longer embarrassed.
Look
anytime
on
I go in.
watch my website. I'm going to have stuff. That's my thing. I'm going to figure out a way to make that accessible.
If I ever get a dick itch anywhere from now on, I'm going to be checking your website quickly.
Urethral itch. If you're a dick itch, you're getting into something else. So
that's what it is. It's like right in the urethra.
Yeah.
It's like I have described it. Feels like there's a caterpillar in there, and you're like, and he's just like moving around.
And if it gets bad, and when you pee, it can feel like you're peeing fire.
Yeah, I've never had the fire pee. Yeah. Never had the fire pee.
And you probably had something called non-gonococcal urethritis.
Okay.
Or they have different names for it. But it probably wasn't chlamydia.
Yeah.
But we'll treat you for it anyway.
But for this girl, her head, like, what do you think? Just
I should make migraine. No, that's a little more dangerous. Because sometimes, these migraine symptoms can be serious neurological symptoms. You want somebody to see that person before you give them the medicine. I'm agreeing with that. All right, give me another one.
Okay, so I need someone to tell me what the hell is going on. So this hand is completely normal. Both my hands are normal. But today, I literally just touched my hand and look what happened. So this is my normal hand. Poke it here. I can't even poke it because it happens on this hand. Poke it here. Nothing happens. It's just fine, right? It's just still. Poking it. Nothing happens. Look what happens when I poke this hand. What the hell is that? Yeah. What the hell is that? And I'm poking it with a pencil because I can't even poke this hand without it doing it. I can't even... What is going on? Can someone please tell me she's not actually freaking out?
So, and first of all, what's wrong with her voice?
Oh, that's a filter.
Okay.
That's a voice filter.
Okay, good. I'm freaking out about that more than her hand. That is unusual. I am guessing, now why would it cause tremor like that? I'm guessing it's related to something like carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
Because she is pushing right on the median nerve here, and the median nerve hits the whole hand. And why it's causing that kind of motor dysfunction, I don't know, but there's nothing meaningful about it that comes to mind for me. Though I would definitely make sure she doesn't have some sort of neuropathy or something in that hand.
So if you have carpal tunnel, how do you treat it? What would we do?
Well, in that age, probably you just have her wear wrist splints at night, something like that.
Yeah.
But in older people, you have to release it. You have to have surgery.
Oh, really?
B6 is helpful sometimes. Yeah.
Damn. Because I remember people saying you could get carpal tunnel from jerking off. That was something that
that's sort of a joke. We see a lot of it from people when they become parents. They're holding babies like this. That's when young people come in with it. Older people get it because they got arthritis and there's a sheath that holds your wrist together that thickens and then pushes on the median nerve. And so they get numbness in here.
And you like if you work with your hands a lot, you're a mechanic or something, you might get...
Especially when you're holding a position for a long period of time, I've noticed that some people get like if you're holding a piece of equipment and having to keep it in one place, that'll do it for you. So good times. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have just launched their Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. It features Santa's #1 helper, the Lawnmower 5.0 Manscaped. They guarantee you'll be stuffing more than just your stocking this season. Look, I want you to go to manscaped.com, use code AFTERDARK. Free shipping. Manscaped.com, code AFTERDARK. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is the one-stop shop for holiday gifting perfection. Includes the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, 2 next-generation blade heads, perfect for sculpting this holiday season. They really create excellent products. That Manscaped shaver, it is just so good. There's nothing like it. They really are, it's just... perfectly designed. They've also got the Weed Whacker 2.0, the Boxers 2.0, their new Shears 3.0 nail grooming kit. Get 20% off and free shipping with that code After Dark at manscaped.com. Again, that's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code After Dark. Give the gift of Manscaped this holiday season. I promise you it's a great gift and everyone will be so happy. It's high quality stuff. Manscaped.com, code After Dark. All right, let's get a couple of questions in here. We'll do voicemails in a minute.
Love it.
I want to get an actual live call from Lisa. What's going on, Lisa?
Yes.
All
So my question is, how does Jeans get her mojo back? Because I've been trying really hard to get my mojo back.
Okay. How
I
old are
can't
you?
get my mojo back.
What do you mean by mojo back? Like
libido, I think.
Oh, libido. Okay.
Are you also kind of? Are you?
My libido.
Is it just
yeah.
libido, or are you also sort of energy and depressed, all that down, or just libido?
No, actually, I spent the last year working on that, and I feel a lot better.
Okay.
Actually, the last couple of years, and this last year, I kind of focused on that specifically, and I feel fine. I feel a lot better.
Cool.
I don't feel depressed anymore because I was, and I had a lot of anxiety. But now I don't have the desire anymore, which I can't figure out why. I mean, I do sometimes, but not all the time. So
And any other symptoms?
now I'm sitting here figuring out.
You're otherwise okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm otherwise okay. I mean,
Okay.
therapy too. Like, I'm not
Okay.
taking any SSRI, so I'm doing the work. So that's why I'm sitting here like, what?
Were you
what's
on
going
SSRIs?
What am I supposed to-
You said you had depression treated. Were you on serotonin reuptake inhibitors?
Yes, so I was on it. I stopped taking them in the beginning of this year, so February,
How long were you on them?
and I was on them since 2019, 2018.
So like 3, 4, 5 years, 4 years, let's say. And then which one were you on?
I tried a few. The most recent one was Cymbalta,
Okay.
Lexapro,
Okay. All
and
right.
then one other one.
All the
But yeah.
usuals, essentially. And
Mhm.
are you on the birth control pill?
No, so I was on the NuvaRing, and that was the most recent one, and I also stopped that. Last time I took that was in 2008.
Okay.
No, I lied. 2021.
All right.
That's when
So the thing that, let me ask one last question about this. This is going to sound odd, but is there sort of a numb quality to your sexual responsiveness? Like, do you feel sort of numb?
Yeah, like sometimes.
Yeah. And
sometimes.
Okay. And can you orgasm?
Oh yeah, that's the funny part is that when I was on the SSRIs, I realized that I couldn't come at all.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
stopped taking them for a few days, and then I had like a different type of orgasm, like a different type of sensation. So I fell in love with the type of orgasms I was having on SSRIs, and then I wanted to stop taking them, and then they completely it just disappeared,
And
my drive.
And were you still having a sex drive while you were on the SSRI?
No, I
Yeah.
created them by stop taking them for
Right.
a couple of days.
So this is a really complicated landscape. Both the hormonal contraceptives and the SSRIs can be associated with persistent libido drop. It's not a huge percentage, but it happens. There's actually support groups out there of people who want to raise awareness about this. Actually, did a whole podcast about this at one point. It usually does come back. There are sort of ideas about how to kind of kickstart things. Same thing is true. There's a guy named Goldstein, I remember, who has a cohort of women who had persistent problems after getting off the birth control hormones. The numb feeling is sort of typical of the SSRI. So I'm suspicious that that's sort of the bigger part of the story here. Was it a psychiatrist prescribing that?
Yeah.
Okay, I would get back in touch with them and see if they have any ideas about. There are some ideas on how to get things kickstarted, and see if you can get and then do try to help yourself along a little bit. Do go ahead and masturbate and do that kind of thing to try to get things going. It sounds funny, but
I'll do what I gotta do. I'm not gonna say no to that.
Right,
like
bring
that.
it back. Bring it. Yeah,
Are you squatting at all? Do you squat weight? You're lifting, doing any lifting?
I lift a lot. I do
Really?
bilateral lifting. I do all of that. I literally have been putting in the work, and I'm sitting here like, what the fuck is going on?
I always find that makes me
I should be horny at this point, and I am sometimes, but not all the time. So, I'm
So you're
like,
not at
okay,
your usual
there's something
state.
going on.
It seems mild. Whatever you're going through,
Right.
it seems mild. I bet there'd be some suggestions.
Right,
how to do it.
yeah.
I would definitely avoid the hormonal contraceptives with all the heavy
Oh, yeah.
progesterones. You could talk to a doctor. How old are you now again?
I'm 32.
I mean, you
32.
could talk to somebody about a little bit of testosterone to try to get things kickstarted. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but
Get
that's
on that
another
test.
That's very short, that's just to get things going. But I would start with the psychiatrist. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. It's patients are not warned about this. Part of their consent should be like, hey, when you get on this stuff, it's going to change your sex drive. It's going to change your orgasmic function. And when you get off, there's a 5% chance of things persisting. So, and the people that go ahead.
I guess my question is, if I do end up getting on something with a psychiatrist, would that be a long-term or like a short-term kickstart?
Kickstart, short term. And you can just wait. You can also wait. There's no real risk in waiting, really. It's not as though it becomes protracted. And you don't have the quality that most of the people I've spoken to that really have trouble with this. When people really have trouble with it, they're sort of libidinal energy around living starts to go down. They're not depressed, but they're just sort of flat.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of numbing in their genitals. Their genitals feel like really sort of detached from them in weird ways.
Oof.
Yeah, it's very unpleasant. Very unpleasant. So I'm glad you're just having a mild
Thank
thing.
God I'm not at that point.
I'll tell you what, it's not going to get worse, that's for sure. And so kickstart, do yourself a favor and work on yourself a little bit too, see if you can get things going. And talk to the psychiatrist, see if they have any suggestions. Craziness. Let's hear a voicemail. I promised a voicemail, so let's do that.
Hey, Dr. Drew. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I am a 25-year-old male. My name is Randall. I'm calling in because recently I visited the emergency room, which is not a usual occurrence for me. They diagnosed me with something called orchitis.
Ooh, nice.
Basically, I
Testy inflammation.
had my balls aching for about a week and a half before I went in.
That's
I
what
was
you get from
worried that it
mumps,
was torsion.
viruses. Yeah.
It ended up being something called orchitis. They administered an antibacterial shot as well as
so it's really
antibiotics.
epididymitis, probably.
Anyway, what I'm wondering is, am I infertile now?
Oh,
and
great question.
And how likely is that? And if you could speak to a little bit, what orchitis is.
Okay.
Anyway, if you say this word again, I smash your face.
Which one is that, guys? Help me with that one.
That was a video of an Indian guy getting mad in a liquor store that we played a long time ago.
Oh, I remember that
That's a
guy.
big
Yes.
fan right there.
Wow, that is a big fan. That's a deep cut.
Right on.
Good for him. So orchi is testes, itis is inflammation. So
Okay.
inflammation of the testes, orchitis. And like orchiectomy is removing a testy.
Oh, damn.
Orchiectomy. But inflammation of the testes is classically a mumps thing, right?
Yeah.
You heard about people having that. It can cause fertility issue with mumps. Other viruses can do it as well. It can have fertility problem with the other viruses, though not likely. He didn't have mumps, so I don't think fertility is going to be a big issue. Guys his age, when they have orchitis, they really usually have epididymitis.
What's epididymitis?
And epididymitis, if this is your testy, on the top of it, you get this. There's this sort of cap.
Yeah.
Show me a testy epididymis.
Give me a testy up on the screen,
Yes,
please.
yes. and they get inflamed really easily because they're
Okay.
sort of the closest thing to your urethra. And so if you get like a urethritis or anything,
Yeah.
you can get to the epididymis pretty easily.
Fun fact about me, I have one testicle.
What happened?
When I was born, one didn't come down or one
Did
had
they
a
take
problem.
it out?
Yeah, they took it out.
Yeah, because you know why, right?
Because it gets infected or
They
something?
get cancer.
Oh, cancer.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So let's look at the next to the green, the left of the green guy, that white pearly guy. That's a good one. So the thing sitting on top, that sort of thing on top of the nice pearly ball, is the epididymis.
That little
the rim. Like,
the rim.
It's sort of a processing plant for the sperm. And then it goes up. They send it up the sperm. Then it goes up the vas deferens, which you see there to the right of everything. That's
Something I've always wondered about, like, so your jizz and sperm and everything, it comes through one.
Yes, eventually it comes out one tube. Yes,
one tube.
Eventually, but it mixes.
It mixes on the way.
No, not really. It mixes in the seminal vesicles. So let's say a prostate with seminal vesicles.
Okay. And but the piss comes through a different one.
There's a flap.
So it's almost like a train track thing.
Yes,
where it's like
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. And there can be dysfunctions on that. Give me the middle one there.
All right.
So you see that those things that are cut in half with they look like a pomegranate or something.
Yeah.
That is the seminal vesicles, and that's where they really mix is in there. That's where all the fluid is collected. There can be some mixing from the vas deferens also.
I didn't know any of this. Like, have you ever seen those like man on the street things where a lady will ask a guy like, "What's a fallopian tube?" and the guys have no idea. It's like, bro, I don't even know what's going on in my own nuts.
No, you don't. This is behind your nuts, below your bladder.
Okay,
and that's your prostate. I think it looks like an apple on the bottom.
So what does the prostate do?
It produces the fluid.
Oh, it's so the prostate. So if you get a large prostate, you got to take it out. You can't jizz anymore.
So you don't take large prostates out, you take prostate cancer out.
Okay, but the prostate,
which is me.
You?
And so I have prostate cancer. My prostate was removed 12 years ago, and I have what my dear friends call ghost loads.
No jizz.
No jizz.
No jizz, dude.
No jizz.
Dude, that sounds sick.
It's very clean, right?
Yeah.
Everything else the same.
Yeah.
Just no fluid, no mess.
Yeah.
No mess, as my wife says.
Honestly, the mess is the worst part of the whole process.
I would agree with you. It's certainly been a blessing. So,
especially because
cancer on everybody, but
no, like we're not here trying to spread that. But have you? Okay, like were you promiscuous in your younger years?
Little bit.
Okay, so like this is something I've encountered sometimes. You ejaculate, you're with the girl, maybe it's on her boobs, in her mouth, whatever, and then she does stuff with your jizz. She'll like whatever, spread it or spit it out or something as a display of sexuality. And in a porno, hot. Because you haven't jizzed yet.
Yes.
Once you've jizzed and you see someone playing with your jizz, you're like, "Ay."
You just go, why are you doing that?
Yeah, it's like, we're done here.
What do you think you're doing exactly?
You don't have to do this, dude.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I would agree. And in fact, the same women that will complain about where the semen ends, sometimes encourage it. I don't understand that. You either like it or you don't like it.
Yeah.
You don't get not.
And also,
we're fine.
I feel like
some guys really like it. I mean, so whatever. It's fine.
If we're in the realm, like I think we're accepting that jizz is going to get shot around. Like I understand if you don't want it on your face or something like that. But if it's like on your belly or boobs, it's like this is like I got nowhere else to put this stuff.
Yes.
And also, you're getting stuff on me. It's not as clear, but you're getting stuff on me.
I like how you think, man.
Yeah.
So, so the seminal vesicles is where the fluid is sort of built up and stored. The prostate produces all of it. You can stimulate your prostate to produce more with sexual activity, and then it mixes with the sperm, and then that goes out.
So that's the whole thing where if someone fingers your prostate, you can jizz instantly. Is that a thing? Like milking the prostate?
Not that simple.
Okay.
The prostate is stimulated to produce fluid by sexual activity.
Okay.
Generally. Some men, when you give stimulation through the rectum onto the prostate, it can be highly arousing to the point that they can get orgasm because the nerve that goes to the penis that gives you orgasm comes along the base of the prostate.
Yes.
And you can get there through your rectum.
Okay, because I've never had my prostate touched, but I'm like, it's on the list. Okay. But I want it to be done by like a pro, like some dominatrix who like, what she does is goes in and touches a prostate. She's done this to like maybe thousands.
Jason Ellis talk about it. He has a whole encyclopedic study of because he's gay now. I think is he today? Is he gay? I have to follow Jason.
He flip flops. He chooses. Yeah,
and he though was able to have an orgasm with anal sex, and that was he has a whole study on it.
Okay,
so you can look at that.
I'll look at the research, the papers, peer reviewed.
Okay. All right, here is Sarah. We got a bunch of calls we're going to get to, guys. Thank you for calling. Hang on, we will get to you. Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was born with a wall that separated my vagina and my uterus in two. I got that removed when I was older, but I always felt that my orgasms before I got it removed were so much more intense than after, and I was wondering why.
So, you had one uterus but two canals? Is that correct?
Yes, and I have two cervixes.
Oh,
still.
You have two cervixes. So do you have two uteruses?
No, it was just one.
Oh, that's interesting. How can you have a cervix and not a uterus? What's going on? Is it just sort of an underdeveloped uterus on the one side?
So I had a wall that just went straight from like it like split a uterus into two rooms in a sense.
Correct.
And
they
that
took it
wall
all the
just
way
went
down.
All the way down.
I see. I get it. So women can be born with two vaginas. It's relatively sort of common, and that septum can go all the way to the uterus.
Yeah,
and it can be inside the uterus, and it can create, and there are going to be two uteruses even sometimes, and she was sort of in between. So she's saying, excuse me, and she's saying that she got a lesser orgasm after the surgery, and surgery can mess with orgasm. It just can't. Were you orgasmic with intercourse, or do you have to have clitoral stimulation?
I have to have clitoral stimulation.
So it's weird that would be an issue. I don't have a good explanation for you, but I do hear from women a lot that after vaginal deliveries and after various kinds of gynecologic surgeries, they notice a difference. I mean, the male nerve to the penis is two nerves along the base of the prostate. And it's a pretty, what should we call it? Consolidated neurological response. The women, it's more distributed throughout the region. That's why vaginal intercourse is kind of, arousing to them. It feels good.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me they might have clipped something when they're in there. Exactly what, I just don't know. But, is it that big a deal? Is it bad? I hate to hear it.
No, it's not. I was
Good.
just very curious
Good.
because the intensity was just such a big difference. I was curious as to also if I would still have a G-spot or would it be like covered by scar tissue?
Yeah. Have you ever had an orgasm with intercourse?
I think maybe once or twice.
I don't think. I suspect it will change in the sense. No, I don't think that will change very much. I really don't. I don't because that stuff is above the vagina, sort of. It's not right there, but there is stuff distributed throughout the vagina as well. So, Tim, what's going on there? You're 30.
Me?
Yeah,
31.
31. He's 34.
Okay.
What's up?
Hey, I was just calling. Sorry, I'm very nervous.
No
I
problem.
apologize.
Don't worry.
That's all good. All right. I was calling about a year ago. I quit my job as a tree climber and an arborist to just try to find some sort of just respite, and then I moved out here to be with my brother. He was helping me out, and that job, the main reason I moved out was it was just not doing well, and as far as just I couldn't find clients and things. But
Tim, let's get right to the question.
Sorry. All right. I have a lot of just overall pain throughout my body, mainly starting in my back and my neck, and I work with people who are much older than I am. And they're I'm not overweight.
And you're still an arborist? You're still climbing trees and stuff, or no?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm a carpenter now. I build furniture, just something a little lighter duty.
Do your joints swell? Do you get any swelling in your joints, or do you get any rashes?
Swelling? You know what? I've noticed recently I get rashes on my neck. On the back of it, like almost like heat rash and stuff, and sometimes a little bit on the front of my chest.
And joint swelling?
I don't know if that's. I mean, I guess I would call it swelling. It's not. I mean, it's not visible. You know what I mean? It's not. Yeah. It's not. So I don't really know. Joints, I would call it sort of like an achiness.
Do they get hot ever, the joints?
Yeah. That's a good warm, hot.
Okay. Is there anybody in your family
kind of hard to move?
Yeah. Do you have sniffness in the morning when you get out of bed?
Yes, always, every day.
And how long does it take you to get moving?
Generally, I can get moving pretty quickly, but yeah, as far as full movement and like work, it takes a 10-minute drive to get to work, and maybe like a little bit of some stretching before I start hitting the table.
So Tim, I'm not going to diagnose you on a phone call, but there's a quality to this that sounds like a rheumatological condition. I mean, particularly morning stiffness is a rheumatoid arthritis symptom. And there are various variations.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'm not saying you have that. There are many variations on that theme. There's things called mixed connective tissue diseases. There's Reiter's. There's a lot of stuff. And they're all very, very treatable, especially these days. So I would go see a general internist and sort of start with what's called a serological workup. Because some of your age, I mean, yes, you could have a lot of aches and pains and stuff from just being a part. Yeah, internal medicine. A lot of aches and pains from just being a carpenter. But there's a quality to this that, you're having rashes. It just sounds immunological and rheumatic. And it sounds mild, by the way. It doesn't sound like a serious thing.
Yeah.
But it's something that I bet can be treated very easily. That's my prediction. Okay. And if you don't treat it, these things can progress. If you don't treat them, we don't see that anymore, but they used to progress. So
would something like an ice bath help with that? Like,
if it ends up being just muscular, for sure, that kind of thing does help a lot.
Yeah.
And then I sort of have him work with a physical therapist or something, try to figure out why he's having all these muscular pains.
Yeah, because that is pretty specific, and especially if there's a bunch of older dudes who are doing the thing and don't
have any problem.
Yeah.
That morning stiffness, that's a very characteristic rheumatic thing.
Yeah,
It takes them a few minutes to get going. They literally they have to literally they're not move my hands.
I got the morning stiffness, but I'm always ready to go.
He wants to go back talk about prostate again. So, oh goodness, how did you get into comedy?
Oh man, I did like public speaking in high school, and
what does that mean? Because I don't think about high school and public speaking as being the same. It's the place you do public speaking. So you know why I think that? Because what is a high school student going to speak about? You know what I mean? You would do debate or you would do something.
I guess because it was in Canada, we didn't have debate. We didn't have debate team or anything like that. We just would have like a public speaking thing where you could it was part of English where you had to like write a speech and then say it in front of the class. And then if it
was it some of their competitions and things?
Kind of like that, yeah. And it was like, oh, is your speech better or not? Blah blah blah. And I would always make it comedic.
Okay.
But I didn't really connect the dots on it being stand up. And my brother started doing stand up, and I was like, because I thought you had to be famous to do stand up. I thought it was a byproduct of fame. I didn't realize it was your skill you use in order
That's
to
really funny.
Draw people in.
Yeah.
Because you watch it on TV, there's just people in the crowd.
Yeah.
And so he started doing it, and I was like, what do you mean you're doing stand-up? He's like, yeah, I'm just going to open mic. So then I wrote jokes with the intention of giving him jokes. And then I was like, well, if I can write them, I should just do it. And then I did it, and the first time went well enough in my memory. And so then I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it.
Did you get hooked?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was one thing where I had never tried anything before in my life. Like, I was very apathetic about all things except for, like, video games and, like, junk food.
Well, somebody said something the other night. I was talking about this very issue, and he said, comedy chooses you.
Yeah.
And I thought, that is the way I experience it for people. It's like they can't resist it. It's just So they're hooked.
When I was like wanting to go chase it, I was going to move to Toronto, go do it. There was this guy who was kind of like a mentor to me. This guy, Dave, he like introduced me to like different health practices and like fitness and stuff. And I told him I want to do this. And he went home at night and he watched a bunch of stand up. And then he came back to work. We worked together and he was like, we're talking about it. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to move to Toronto.
Wait. He watched stand up to coach you? Or
no,
just
to see.
He didn't know what comedy was? Or?
Just to see like the mentality. I guess he's like, oh, this guy's interested in it. I'm going to absorb some of it.
That's a pretty interesting move.
Yeah,
somebody that's just workout partner essentially.
He was, we worked together. We worked at a call center together.
Okay.
And he came to work the next day, and then we were talking about it, and he was like, I was like, I'm going to move to Toronto, and if it doesn't work out, I'll abandon it. And then he was like, no. These people aren't just trying to do it. You either are or you are not a comedian.
How did he know that already?
I don't know. Like, I didn't learn that until years into comedy, but he was just a very bright guy and just kind of saw that from, I guess, watching interview or whatever he consumed. It's like being a comic is more than just like, I go on stage, I tell jokes. It's how you like perceive the world. It's how you communicate with people. I was talking about it with a buddy earlier today about how like sometimes you go to a family get together and it can be very boring because there's all these limitations on what people are willing to talk about, and everything needs to be polite society. Where with comics, there is no limit, no buffer. And it's also, you rarely get into like arguments because it's like, oh no, this is just how we talk. I'm talking about like some weird sex thing I did to a group full of strangers in privacy with comedians I trust. Oh, we'll talk about anything.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like it's the golden age of comedy in a certain respect.
It's great.
Yeah.
Right
I think it's as much it is the way we consume it, but it's also how many people are able to to understand what you understand, to go do it, and they feel passionate about it, and they do the open mics, and they
Yeah.
put the hours in.
Yeah.
And they just put the reps in, really.
I think
And so
what-
there's good quality coming out of that.
What we're coming into right now comedically, I think I was said this years ago, where we're going to have like a Justin Bieber of comedy. And I think that's kind of what Matt Rife is. He's a younger dude in terms of comedy. He has an audience that's different from any other comic. He's demolishing. He's like also attractive in terms of what comedians normally are. Very attractive dude. And he is changing the landscape of how people are perceiving comedy, and I think that's wonderful.
In what way?
He has introduced a whole new audience. No one before Matt Rife had an audience that was primarily like moms and young girls. Like that just wasn't seen. You got people on dates, maybe you got people a little bit more bro-y, but his audience is like it's like Gen Z girls and then like moms, and like you just didn't see it. But I think that is so good because now comedy is going into this space where it's getting closer to music, where it's like you have all these different genres, and maybe you listen to this and you listen to that, and you never have a crossover of listening to another artist. But it is such a big and normally consumed thing that everyone has something to eat and everyone is enjoying it.
That's interesting. I think you're right, because I early on was saying that this is the way music was in terms of the role that rock stars played, in the comedians that play in that role now.
Yeah.
In fact, except for a handful, that's why I was disappointed during COVID. There wasn't more like, what the fuck was going on here?
Yeah.
We're making fun of it at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there was a lot of toe in the line.
It's everything has to come in ebbs and flows.
I guess that's right. Let's talk to somebody from Maine. This is Isaac. Isaac, what's going on?
Yes. Hey, how's it going, Drew?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm good. So I have a question that could potentially be pretty dumb, but I'm a delivery driver, and I drive like in an area of my state, and I use many different bathrooms throughout the day. And the other day when I sat down to take a shit, my dick grazed the inner part of the bowl, and it was wet. And I guess my question is, can you get any like disease, STDs, or anything? Because like I've seen a lot of horror stories in these bathrooms, like blood and like shit everywhere. But like, of course, I don't use those when.
Yeah, I don't want you putting your
I
penis
see
on
that.
blood or shit. That's a different story than porcelain, even wet porcelain. No, toilets are. That's why we sort of make them the way we do out of the materials we make them. That's why they work the way they do. They're pretty good at keeping things. I mean, if somebody had some crazy bacterial outbreak of something highly infectious and sat on the toilet seat and you immediately sat down with an open wound next, okay, well, that's okay.
So there's a chance you're infected, dude.
But
Just
no,
know.
But the penis grazing the porcelain, I mean, again, as long as no blood and shit and all that, it's not STD that I worry about anyway. I really don't worry about STD. I worry more like other bacteria or other infectious diseases and things. Viruses and stuff that could get to you that way.
Yeah.
But really, very, 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 very like moon rock landing in your backyard probabilities, like an asteroid hit kind of probability. Okay.
Okay, I appreciate that.
All right, and if you
Ease my
particularly if you have no
anxiety.
symptoms, you can visit all the public restrooms through Maine. Enjoy.
Piss in every urinal you wish.
Maine is the only state in the union I've never been to.
Really?
Yeah, I'm thinking about keeping it that way because it's so weird that I've never been to Maine.
It was
And I've lived in New England. It's beautiful.
Come on, Drew. There's lots to see.
No, it's beautiful. Everything I've seen about it, especially your coast, I'm dying to go, but it's becoming like a thing.
Yeah, get some crab fries.
Because oh man, I would love to go. Man, and it's not that hard to. I mean, if you're in New England, it's right there. All right, man. Thanks for the call, buddy.
Go to Boston, get someone to yell a slur at you. Like that's part of the experience.
I have been
Fenway Park.
Oh, I lived in New England for a long time. I love New England, but it's just so weird that I've never been to Maine. It's so odd. It's like if I were from California, never been to Arizona or something, or Nevada. All right, let's. We got a bunch of stuff. Okay, here we go. This is Victoria. Speaking of New England, she's in Connecticut. Victoria, what's going on there?
Oh my God. Hi, Dr. Mommy.
Hi, Mommy
What's going
Victoria.
on?
What's happening, Jeans?
So, my fiance had that, you've talked about it a couple other times on the podcast, the hernia surgery near his balls.
Mm-hmm. His balls?
He had that when he was 6 years old.
Ah.
I'm from Long Island. If you
I
couldn't
picked
tell.
it up right away. You're in Connecticut. What are you doing along? Are you on the coast there or something? Or are you near Long Island?
So I'm from Long Island. I grew up on Long Island. Then I was living in Queens through COVID and everything. And then I wound up moving to Connecticut.
What part?
So we missed the suburbs basically and can't afford Long Island.
I hear you. Okay, makes sense. She's in Hartford.
So
anyway.
my question is, at the base of his penis, where the hair grows, he's so sensitive that I can't even brush up against it, touch it, nothing like that. Like otherwise, it freaks him out. His balls get sucked up into his stomach, and that's over. So I'm wondering if it has anything to do with the surgery because he does have a scar there. And he also has a lot of sensitivity just in the area in general, like upper thighs and his balls. Like I can't touch any of that otherwise, right up into the stomach. So,
on both sides?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what's good with that.
On both sides?
Yeah, on both sides.
That is not a typical complication of hernia surgery, though you can affect the nerves in that area. Even when you do, it's more sort of aching and that kind of thing, not that high degree of sensitivity. So that may just be him. I'm trying to figure out where the sensitivity is in his penis. Did you catch that?
It was at the base of his penis.
Like where it connects to the... No?
I'm sorry. It's not in the penis. It's at the base.
Yeah.
So where the pubic hair grows, basically, like right above the penis.
So on the pubic bone, that area.
Yes.
Okay. No, I think that's just him. For whatever reason, why he's so sensitive, I don't know. And you're describing the testes pulling up inside. That's called the cremasteric response. That's what men get when they're cold or frightened. So
you're scaring the shit out of him, dude.
By touching his...
Oh no!
I like that she laughs.
It's so funny. I think it's more of like a ticklish sensation that
Yes,
you get, and that's
I think
what
that's correct.
holds them up.
I think you're right. It's like
Mhm.
you know how sometimes there's certain parts of genitalia can be sort of too intense.
Yeah,
you know.
Oh, for sure.
And particularly after orgasm, but
Yeah.
for his case, it's before for whatever reason. I'm glad that you have a good sense of humor about it, Victoria, because it's make fun of him for it. I think he'll learn. You know what I mean? He shouldn't be uptight about it, right?
That's the best way to calm him down and make him more comfortable in having sex
Make
with
him
you.
laugh about it.
Is humiliate the
No, I
man.
didn't say humiliate. Come on now, dude. I can tell that Victoria's got a sense of humor, though, right?
No,
And
for
so-
sure, for sure.
And so you do, right, Victoria? We're not making
I
that
mean, we
up.
fuck with each other. We fuck with each other all the time.
That's
so,
good.
Yeah,
That's
for
good.
sure.
Victoria's a ball buster. It's good.
Yeah.
This is good. I don't mean ball busting in terms of. I mean in terms of bro.
Yeah, she's not speed bagging his nuts.
No, I mean you make fun of ball busting, that
Yes.
kind of thing, kind of fun ball busting. All right, Victoria. Thanks for the call.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Drew. Have a good
You bet. That's why I like sometimes talking to female callers because they're so. I don't know. There's more going on. It's
Yeah, more descriptive.
more color. Yeah,
yeah.
So all
I
right.
also feel like they're more comfortable with their bodies and different things like that. Guys can be very uptight about discussing their balls and dicks.
Yeah,
and stuff.
we're very like linear about it too.
Yeah.
They're very. There's a lot going on.
Yeah,
There's
it's descriptive. They can paint a picture.
Yeah, I like that. Let's see here. Let's talk to Kay. Hi, Kay. What's going on?
Hello, Dr. Drew. So my question was, what does being suicidal do to the brain? Like, what are the effects of it on the brain?
The thinking itself. I mean, thinking doesn't change the brain in the ways you're thinking, I don't imagine. Suicidal thoughts have a lot of complexity to them. I mean, people think of it in terms of, oh, it's just, if you're depressed enough, you start thinking about suicide. There's many variations on that theme. Some people have high degree of suicidal ideation with depression. Some people have high degrees of suicidal ideation without depression. Even not depressed, they can start to think suicidally. Bipolar disorder patients, when they're manic, are more likely to kill themselves than when they're depressed. That's just
Because
statistically.
they have the energy?
I think it's because they just do really impulsive stuff. They jump off a bridge or something.
Oh,
They're coming out of their skin and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a suicidal component to it. So there's a lot of, some of it's genetic, and some of it, some of it is to avoid pain, and there's just all kinds of reasons people get this. Obviously each of those have their own brain state associated with it, but the suicidal thinking is not causing those brain states, if that makes sense. Okay.
So if I were to do an X-ray on somebody's brain who has depression, would I see anything?
Oh, yeah, sure. We have to do functional MRI scans. We know a lot of what goes on there, but it's not exactly the same in everybody. Yeah, so these are all depression. Anything going on in your consciousness, your thinking, or your mood, or your motivation, that's your brain, and that is a chemistry and a wiring, and it will show. We know what's going on for the most part when those things develop. And there are treatments for all those things. There are treatments. That's why we can adjust the brain chemistry with treatments. And that's why therapy changes the wiring. So some of it is a wiring issue. All right, Kay. If you're having suicidal thoughts, it shows that your life is in danger, and it's important to see a doctor. So he or she can evaluate what is going on and help you so this whatever condition is causing the suicidality does not result in something terrible. These are brain disorders are dangerous, and they progress sometimes. And sometimes they're medical. Sometimes they're, I worked in a psychiatric hospital for 35 years, and my first job was running around dealing with the medical part of the care. And I would tell you 20% of the time there was actually a medical problem causing the depressions and causing the psychiatric symptoms.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very common. And equally common, the medication or the psychiatric condition was causing medical issues. They're smoking a lot, they're doing stuff,
Yeah.
So,
and it's true with the with the therapy, you can see the change in someone's brain through an MRI after therapy.
Functional MRI. Well, you were talking about the wiring stuff. That's more complicated.
Okay.
But we can, yes, but we don't. And the functional MRI stuff, we sort of know. That's why we can use magnets and things to change those regions.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's cool as hell.
Yeah, it is cool as hell, and that's kind of the future. They're doing that a little more aggressively now. I know a guy in New York that's doing it really with great
magnets
effect.
to change your perception of or your
mood.
Your mood.
They're going at they just like running a current, like electric shock therapy. You can run a magnet, creates a little current in very focused areas, and then it'll raise the chemistry in that area.
Whoa, dude, that's cool as hell.
The common name for that is TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation, but there's variations on the theme.
But it needs to be precise. I can't just get some fridge magnets and just start putting them on my head.
You can't just take some horseshoe magnet and
just I'm feeling sad. Let me fix this.
Oh my God. Let me do a couple emails before we wrap this thing up. Let's get a booger question in.
Woo!
I have regular boogers. I got a septoplasty, so you got to repair. You had a deviated septum.
Okay.
Now my boogers are giant. Heck, did he measure them? They used to be 1/8 to 1/4. Now they're 1/2 to 1 inch.
Yeah, who's like busting out the ruler on the boogers?
Little microtome,
Yeah.
What's going? Is this going to go the rest of my life? You should go back to the ENT person. I'm wondering if something has happened to the sinuses as a result of that septoplasty.
That's crazy. Booger time.
Caught my husband with porn a few times. 20 years married. I always hated porn. I put on a lot of weight, then I lost it. Now my skin is gross. My boobs aren't what they used to be. I feel like I'm not good enough. When women do this themselves, it drives me crazy.
Yeah, it's like I bet your husband still finds you very hot.
Of course.
Yeah.
What we do visually with pornography translates very little to what we are doing or want in our real life.
Absolutely.
Explain that to her.
So sometimes you'll watch stuff in porn, and maybe it's a kink, maybe it's a desire or something.
And what visually on a movie or a photograph hits your brain is not the same as somebody in space.
No, and the way you're getting stimulated or enjoying it is completely different. And also, you don't necessarily want those things in real life. And if your husband's still like hooking up with you and touching you and kissing you, man, he loves you and he wants to bang you.
Period. We're very simple. Do not read anything into what we're doing. It's if that's what we want to do, it's because we really want to do it.
And porn is more like
recreation.
It's like junk food. It's like, I'm not eating. It's like, it's just a dopamine release. Like it's hot. You're jerking off. You jizz. You go back to life.
I mean, literally, like that's a great way of describing it, because literally like getting mad at a guy who is hungry, has no access to anything. There's a bag of Doritos there. He eats the Doritos. You're like, dude, what are you gonna do? Why are you doing that?
It's like, I was hungry.
I was hungry. There were Doritos.
Yes.
You do it. Do I want Doritos all the time? No. Do they taste good? Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't want them all the time. No.
Exactly.
That's I like that.
There you go. We're influencing.
There you go, everybody. Che Durena, tell them where to go to find you.
CheDurena on all platforms, CheDurena.com for all tickets and tour dates. And of course, Little Dinky News on Twitch and Kick.
Good luck, my friend. It's
Thank
been
you.
fun to meet you.
Yeah, it was a great time.
It was a good time. We helped some people today.
Absolutely. I gotta say, you're the most doctor. Like, you have all these like I saw you holding your pen, and the way you answer the questions, it's like very like it's so how you're supposed to do it as a doctor, of course, but like clinical, and you have these little ticks of like, well, you're listening. Okay.
I do have ticks.
Yeah.
I do.
And I was like, man, at one point you answered something a certain way, and I felt this like I was in a doctor's office. Like I felt that like not insecurity, but that like revealingness of saying something to a doctor and trying to be like, I hope I'm not wasting his time. I hope I'm doing it right. Like, dude,
let that go. Don't worry about that when you're around a doctor. We're happy to help out. You're not wasting our time. All right, my friend, great to see you. And for everyone else, we'll see you next time.
Right on.
All conversations and information exchanged during participation in the Dr. Drew After Dark podcast or interaction on the drdrew.com website is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Do not confuse this with treatment or physician medical advice or direction per se. You must always follow your medical professional's advice and direction. Nothing on these podcasts or posted on this site supplements or supersedes the relationship and direction of your medical caretakers. Please understand, I am not playing the role of physician in this environment per se. I'm educating. I am a licensed physician with specialty boards in American Board of Internal Medicine and American Board of Addiction Medicine.